grandpa can help us with the funeral. Yeah, and I think we'll probably be right here next.
Ladies and gentlemen, please put your cell phones to silent mode so it does not ring during the service. Funeral service is being conducted by Rabbi Eliezer Emarski.
Я не знаю, он нам скажет, а потом он тебя подвезет, чтобы не надо было скакать.
Измогли да видат нойроило ексорбинос деше йорбиценер мейменохос ямплейни навши шевер янхени бемагли цедек леманшмо гам келе бегей цалмавис лойрараки атаймади шифтеха умишамтеха хема инахамуни тарох лепане шурха негицерарай дишамта вашем роши косревая ахтова хесед йордефуни калия вешапти бевейс адоной леорахиамин. Майя прожила 93 года. Из них она прожила 93 года. Есть люди, которые живут долго, но часть жизни они живут, часть жизни они проживают. Есть моменты в жизни, когда жизнь только состоит из того, что проснулся, поел, пошел, купил, лег спать. Пошел еще один день. Это называется проживание. Когда человек просыпается, и каждый день это возможность, какие-то новые цели, какое-то движение, что-то можно сделать, что-то можно новое узнать, кому-то можно помочь, это называется жизнь. Майя Петровна прожила 93 года. Конечно, не считая детства, но из них 93 года она по-настоящему прожила. Потому что каждый день был наполнен смыслом, каждый день было движение к чему-то, достижение чего-то, забота о ком-то. Поэтому она прожила очень богатую, долгую и наполненную смыслом жизнь. И теперь, если пройти по вехам ее жизни, ее биографии, было много периодов жизни. Был период до войны, у нее была целая жизнь, 10 лет до войны. Был период войны, эвакуации. И был послевоенный период, который тоже можно поделить на там и здесь. И вот послевоенный период, который начался с 1944 года, когда семья вернулась в Киев был освобожден, как Вилен мне напомнил, это я забыл, а он помнит, что в ноябре 1943 года был освобожден Киев, правильно? И вот тогда семья вернулась, и так получилось, что и Майя, и Вилен, они вместе вернулись в Киев, и так они и познакомились в 1944 году. Вот сейчас 2024 год, вы можете посчитать, сколько, больше 80 лет они знакомы, и больше 70 лет они женаты. Это целая жизнь отдельная. Ее замужняя жизнь – это уже отдельная целая жизнь человека. И после военный период Майя была очень умная женщина, которая стремилась к образованию. Вместе с Виленом они получили образование, закончили институт, поехали по распределению в Красноярск. Все вместе. Эти 70 с чем-то лет, 71 год, все вместе. Учеба вместе, работа по распределению вместе, возвращение в Киев вместе, растили Сашу вместе, переехали сюда и здесь начали новую жизнь. Все вместе. И поэтому даже трудно представить, как можно теперь вот мужу без жены, потому что вся жизнь была вместе. И была богатая жизнь, как я говорил, всегда наполненная, всегда. У Майи был всегда живой интерес ко всему происходящему. Насколько она была вовлечена в жизнь Саши, я знаю. Не просто выращивала Сашу, как любая мать, но до сих пор, чуть ли не до самого конца, полностью вовлечена, участвовала в его жизни, в его планах, в его успехах и в его неуспехах. И как бабушка, Анка, Аня, Даниэла, самая лучшая, вы услышите, самая лучшая бабушка. И вот так вот, если вкратце, получается вот такая жизнь. Но на самом деле, каждый из этих лет, 94 года, каждый из этих лет был наполнен, 365 дней был наполнен очень многим. Когда они переехали сюда тоже вместе с Виленом, как Майя восприняла эту страну, как она была благодарна этой стране. Они путешествовали вместе, как вместе праздновали, когда семья собиралась, праздники, гостеприимный дом, прекрасная хозяйка, прекрасно готовила. Огромное количество друзей, которые, как вы понимаете, сейчас, 93 года, уже почти никого не осталось. Но сейчас, оглядываясь назад, вместе с чувством потери и для всей семьи, и для Саши, и Гали, и для внучек, и для Вилена, также, мне кажется, у всех есть чувство гордости, что в жизни вашей была такая женщина, была такая мама, была такая бабушка, была такая свекровь, жена, которая, не имев в жизни многого материального, построила очень достойную и красивую жизнь. Из 94 лет, опять я повторю, каждый день был прожит. По-еврейски, когда мы говорим, в иврите, в еврейском языке нет слова «долголетие». Такого вот слова просто не существует долголетия. Как же мы говорим, когда человек долго живет? Мы говорим «арихус йомим». «Арихус йомим» это дословно переводится «долгие дни». Долгие дни. Так мы говорим о долголетии. Почему? Потому что сколько лет нам отведено, от нас не зависит. Но что от нас зависит, это как мы прожили каждый день. И поэтому, когда мы желаем друг другу долголетия, мы говорим, мы желаем арихус йомим. Мы желаем, чтобы человек прожил каждый день на 100%, 24 часа. И вот так вот Майя прожила. Но Бог ей подарил и долгие годы, и долгие дни. Перед тем, как я продолжу, я хотел бы пригласить Елена. Вы хотели бы сказать несколько слов?
Мы тебя привезем.
Родились в один год. 2 месяца, по-моему, разница, да? Дня рождения. Говори, папа.
Не надо вставать.
Я встану.
Не надо вставать. Не надо, не надо. Хватай.
Dr. Pilchuk.
В эту минуту, конечно, мне очень тяжело говорить. Что главное, есть люди, которых уважают за что-то, за смелость, за умения, там, за таланты какие-то и все прочее. А мы уважали Майю за ее принципиальность, за ее открытость, за ее бесхитростность, за то, что она умела вести себя так, что в любой компании и в любом положении она всегда выглядела очень достойно. У нас в доме ее называли артисткой. Не за умение петь, не за умение танцевать, так одеваться, с таким вкусом, что на нее всегда все обращали внимание. Я мог бы очень много о ней рассказывать хорошего. И какой она была хозяйкой, и как она умела готовить, и как она накрывала столы из ничего, и какой она была мамой, бабушкой и прабабушкой. А о жене какой она была, я уже не говорю даже. Я мог бы еще много говорить. Но я хочу сказать главное. По нашей еврейскому учению, по нашему, душа человека не умирает. Она возносится. И Бог забирает ее. Бог давал ее на временное пользование нам. Тело предается земле, а душа отдается Богу. И я вот хочу здесь, где я первый, это не моя теория, но я ее разделяю, что есть такое информационное энергетическое поле, куда уходит эта душа. И все души умерших находятся на этом поле. Поэтому я когда-то в молодости подсчитывал эту энергию, учитывая закон Эйнштейна, что энергия равна массе на квадрат скорости, я считал энергию Земли и информацию. Так вот, ведь не случайно каждому из нас достается какая-то душа, и мы все разные. Мы хорошие, мы плохие. И это информационно-вычислительное энергетическое поле этим объясняется. Каждому что достанется. Так вот, я хочу сказать, что кому достанется Майина душа в будущем, то этому человеку очень повезет. И еще, у нашего великого еврейского писателя Шолома Алейхема есть любимый герой, мальчик мне лучше всех, я сирота. Когда уходит отец, говорят, ну сирота. Когда уходит и мать, говорят, круглый сирота. А у меня, когда ушла Майя, то еще в литературе нет такого слова, которым можно было бы объяснить, каким я остался сиротой. И как это можно выразить словами. Жизнь будет, конечно, продолжаться, но без Майи. Спасибо всем присутствующим, что пришли сюда, разделить с нами, со всеми близкими, наши горе. И я хочу сказать еще, что все как бы не принимали участие, и как бы не пытались облегчить эту боль, которую испытываешь, она никуда не уходит, она остается здесь. Еще раз всем большое спасибо за участие в нашем большом горе.
Пожалуйста, Галя.
Сказать после того, что Глен Абрамович вам рассказал без подготовки, я просто speechless. Мне будет стыдно подглядывать в свой телефон. Поскольку у нас есть люди, будущие родственники, которые русский до сих пор еще не выучили, я буду говорить на английском, на моем русском, английском языке, чтобы были люди, те, которые не знают Майю Петровну, знают только нас, могли что-то о ней узнать. I just say that we have some English-speaking people who doesn't know Mayya Petrovna as well as some other people know, so I will speak in my English, Russian, English. And I said that I'm speechless after Glен Abramowich told us without any preparation, any notes, so I will not look at my phone, I will just try to remember what I was going to tell you guys. And I want to say that today we came to celebrate Mayya Petrovna's life. Because as in Jewish tradition, Jewish understanding, we don't say goodbye, we celebrate. And the way Mayya Petrovna lived her life, as Rabbi said, she really lived. She didn't live, she lived every single day of all, every 93 years. She loved life. She was a very well-educated woman. She loved her profession, she loved to live, she loved to read. She actually was able to read till almost the last day of her life. She was a great cook. She, I would say, from the scratch, she could make such a big table, and if she will make 5 salads, 3, 4 hot dishes, baked some cake, she would apologize, say, "Oh my God, I'm so sorry, it's nothing on the table, I didn't feed you well." She was very straightforward. She can tell you in the face, if she could tell me, you know what, this dress, this short make you fat, take it off. Or one day I came and I didn't have a chance to make my hair, she said, "What happened to you? Why are you like that? You have to put makeup, you can't go on the people like that." Even in the hospital when uncle would come, like she just flew in and she didn't make her hair, she didn't put makeup. She said, next time you come tomorrow, please fix your hair, fix your makeup. She loves her kids, her son. She loves her grandkids, great-great-kids. She knew about every single project that Anka was going to have with her business. She knew about coming up school activities for great kids. She always was following everything. She knew when something has to happen and she was following them. She'll ask, so how was it? She knew every single Anka's friend by the name and she knew what is going on in their life. She was following Danielle days in college. She was so proud of her that she is going to be a doctor of occupational therapy. And when she was having this occupational physical therapy in a rehab, she was trying to find a job for Danielle. She was asking doctors, my granddaughter is going to be this and that. Maybe you have some open position. She knew about every single project with her son, Alex, his architect, was going to have. She knew name of his clients. She was following, is this client going to give you another project? She always was asking about Anna's work in emergency room. I was telling her some cases at Anna went through. She was asking, my God, how she's doing, is anything interesting happening again in her work? But, and I have to go back, Rabbi mentioned that they, Mayya Petrovna and Abramovich knew each other for 80 years. They was introduced to each other, met each other when they were 14 years old or something, right? They celebrate 70 together last April. And I have to say, the way these people love each other, live with each other, respect each other, trust each other, it's a big example for all of us. They should be our model. And I'm pretty much sure there's no couple in the world who didn't have some argument, right? Everyone, even them. I know it would happen, and it happened, but they knew how it's resolved. That's why probably they were able to be with each other so many years. Mayya Petrovna called Vilyan Abramovich Vilyunya. For the last day, till the last day, Vilyan Abramovich called her Mayka. It's a very simple, nice, not unique, but very nice name to pronounce. Even in the last months in the hospital when we were told she has a couple days to live, when she saw Vilyan Abramovich came, her eyes was, she even didn't see us, she didn't react to us, she didn't want to see anyone. But when she saw, she could feel it, she could smell it, she could, I don't know, she knew he came, he's next to her. Her eyes opened and she looked like nothing happened. And Vilyan Abramovich said, I don't care what doctor said, I don't believe it's 3-5 days left, she will live longer. And with all his love, his energy, his trust that he can prolong her life, even for 1 hour. She was discharged from the hospital to the rehab. And in the rehab, she was doing bicycle, she was doing all these therapies, physical, occupational therapy. She was asking those guys to find the spot for Danielle when she's gonna graduate. All this was done with his energy, his love. So he prolonged her love for 1 month. And I would say this woman she's, the way she lived, the way she ended her life, with no bother to anyone, with smile. The night before, She passed away, alcohol. It was late, like, I don't know, 10 p.m., 7 p.m. And she didn't have even power to hold the phone. Oksana, her caregiver, she hold the phone next to her ear. And Anka, whatever Anka told her, she smiled. She listened, she understood, she heard her. It was like a blessing. And she left us with no bother, with just with a smile on her face. So today it's a big celebration. Even the God gave us this beautiful weather because the God is present, He celebrates her life. And that's why even funeral director offered us to have, he show us this, what do you call this? Horse. And I said, listen, this woman loved life. The way she, this is how she's gonna end on this beautiful horse. To say goodbye to her, it's all connected. So, thank you guys. Thank you. I can't do it without notes.
Babuya, my earliest memories are of waking up in a tiny apartment in Kiev to the smell of your cooking. As soon as my eyes would open, I would run into the kitchen to see you peeling potatoes or frying onions. I remember how swiftly you peeled with one hand. You would greet me like a long-awaited guest. I felt so cherished and enveloped by your love. Those weekend morning breakfasts were a highlight of my childhood. I know that life in Kiev in a tiny little apartment with 3 generations under one roof could not have been easy. But to me it was paradise. Even under the hardest circumstances, you knew how to make a home. I remember how immaculate you kept the apartment, how beautifully decorated. I remember late night dinner parties with tables stacked full of your many specialty dishes. You would preside over them, wearing the latest fashions, lipstick, and always a matching brooch. No one would ever be able to tell that you had spent the day cooking in a hot kitchen. Even when you had nothing, you always knew how to live life like a queen and to make everyone feel welcome in your court. And you made it look easy. I remember the first time I saw you cry. It was shocking. Suddenly, I began catching you crying at random times in the day. I didn't know then that it was because we were about to be separated from you. I can't imagine the inner strength it must have taken to watch us leave with our suitcases on that train platform, not knowing if you would see us again. America must have seemed as foreign as Mars. Your tear-streaked face haunted me for the 2 years we were apart. They were the toughest of my childhood. In my 2nd grade class in Skokie, we wrote letters to President Reagan. I don't know what other kids wrote about, but I wrote a long, persuasive letter in my basic English, begging him to please help my grandparents come to America and be with me. A few weeks later, I received the reply I was anxiously awaiting. In the envelope was a generic letter thanking me for writing and a booklet about the White House. I was livid. Whoever this President Reagan was, I did not like him anymore. You guys finally arrived on May 26, 1991. To this day, not one May 26th has gone uncelebrated for me. Even when you didn't remember your coming to America-versary, I would remind you. To me, it was the biggest holiday. As I grew, you taught me by leading that the way to hold a butterfly is with an open palm. a lesson that I hope I'll be able to implement with my children as they grow. When I was in my 20s, I decided to follow my dream of making Aliyah to Israel. I can imagine how much you must have not wanted me to go. A second separation across an ocean, and this time not out of necessity for building a better future, but just to follow a passion. I was terrified of telling you my plans. Although we spoke every day, I kept avoiding it. But when I finally confessed, to my huge surprise, not only did you not try to talk me out of it, but you supported me, giving me the documents that I needed to get Aliyah status. I can't imagine the inner strength that must have taken, but you were wise and let me make my own decision to follow my dreams, no matter what they were. Even if you didn't agree with them, you didn't show it. You were there cheering me on. When I met Patricio and I told you we were getting married so fast after arriving in Israel, you were thrilled. I'm sure you must have been anxious. Who was this random South American we never heard of? But you embraced him and loved him like a son from the first time I handed him the phone. Like me, he called you Babuля. You and Tadula were the role models for what a true loving partnership looks like to me. 80 years you knew each other, 70 years of marriage. We should all be so lucky. Through it all, you treated each other like the most precious gift. You cherished every moment together and taught me to do the same. You would call Dedushka your sunshine. Твоя солнышко. Он такой хороший, you would tell me. I hope that Patricio and I, when we're in their 90s, will still look at each other the way you and Tadula always did. When I came back to Chicago from Israel, with my new family in tow, you and Dedushka were waiting at us at the airport. I remember how Alma, who was only 2 months old, began to smile at you immediately. And so your bond was sealed. Even though my kids would grow up to not speak Russian, my fault, I know, you always reminded me, you never lacked a common language. Surya and Alma felt your love no matter the distance or the language barrier. They adored you. And just as you supported me always, you supported them. You celebrated every one of their accomplishments as if it was the Nobel Prize. You were so proud of them, and they were so proud of you too. Mayya is the best cook in the world, Alma would tell everyone. Although we live across the country, you knew my children's schedule better than I did. I would call you in the afternoon and you would know exactly which activity I was driving who to on that day, and you would remind me of any schedule changes. Don't forget, Alma has an extra rehearsal this week, and it's at that other location. And don't forget to bring a jacket, it'll be evening. When we would come to visit, you would set a table as if it was for royalty. You would spend weeks preparing for our visits, gathering all my favorite Russian delicacies and making our favorite of your recipes. You would watch carefully, making sure we tasted everything. If Patricio's plate was not full enough, you would say, "What, you don't love?" There was no way I could ever leave Chicago without gaining 5 pounds. And I loved these visits so much. We never ran out of things to talk about. And the girls, even when they were young, could stay in your apartment all day. You and Dedushka had a box of toys that you would constantly restock with colored pencils and Barbies and trinkets. Even though at home the girls might be fussy or whiny or demanding of my attention, at your house it was like a spell would come over them and they would play for hours. On one such winter visit, the girls must have been maybe 4 and 8, and they admired the fuzzy hat you had on when you came to meet us downstairs. You proudly told them that you had knit it yourself. We stayed at your home late that evening, and the next morning when we showed up again, you had knit the exact same hat for each of the girls. You must have stayed up all night. They were thrilled and kept wearing those hats even in the warm Texas climate. You never stopped amazing us. And in fact, you inspired Alma to learn to crochet, and I'm wearing a scarf that she made so that she's here in spirit. You were so proud of the family you built, of all of us, of Papa, and how skillfully he navigated and built his American life, and all his business and artistic accomplishments, of Gaia, and what an incredible loving partner she is, and the beautiful home she built for them, and the way they care for each other. She was so proud of Danielle and all her educational accomplishments, telling anyone who would listen. When it became clear that things were serious with this boy named Blake, Grandma would ask me a million questions about him. But is he a good person, she would ask. Will he take care of her? And I assured her that he was, and he would. When Anna met Matt, she couldn't wait to meet him, and was so thrilled that her wish came true last month. I believe it gave her a lot of peace to know we were all settled. But Buddha, I called you every day of my life. In recent years, it became twice a day. You could tell what was happening with me by my voice. I could never hide anything from you, though I tried. If I had a headache, you knew it. If I was having a bad day, you were the person who could talk me down from an emotional ledge. You would remind me not to get carried away, that nothing was worth wasting my nerves. And if something good happened, I couldn't wait to share it with you and hear how happy it would make you. Babuля, I will always remember all you taught me. You would often complain that I would listen to you and then go and do whatever I pleased. But that's a lesson I learned from you too, to always follow my instinct and never take no for an answer. And though you may have teased me about not listening, I usually really did follow your advice. Everything you taught me sank in. Whether it be to always wear lipstick, a woman should always look her best, to not stress about things that are not worth it, to making sure to build a community of friends wherever we live, and to host dinner parties often, or to not spoil my children, although I'm still working on that one. You are the strongest person I ever met. Once you got your sights set on a goal, there was no stopping you. Whether it be finding a way to get canned food from Moscow after Chernobyl, or finding a way to get the very apartment you wanted on the 27th floor of a Chicago high-rise. But nothing illustrated your will and incredible strength like the last few years. You were a medical mystery and a marvel. You lived through sheer will. In 2020, when Diduля was very sick in a nursing home for months, you insisted that he be released and brought home. "Я его вылечу," you told me, and you did. You could barely walk yourself. No one knew how you did it, but you did. And you did the same for you. We were like two halves of one person, you would often tell me. Even in the recent years when Grandpa's hearing was not as good as it used to be, he could always hear her. I could say something, and then he would look at her and she would say the exact same thing in the same volume, and he would hear her. It's like they had their own frequency. When someone leaves our world, people often lament that they didn't get to say goodbye, that they didn't know when they spoke with their loved one that it would be the last time. But I feel the opposite. I feel like I said goodbye to you over and over and over. When I would come visit from Israel or from Houston or from Los Angeles, I would be terrified every time I hugged you goodbye that it was the last time. I lived my life in constant preparation for this moment. But how do you prepare for losing your person? In your last evening, Grandpa put the phone up to your ear. I told you how good everything was. About my latest work updates, about Alma's grades, about Suri joining the synagogue choir. Grandpa said you were smiling. I hope it gave you peace. I'm so grateful that I got so much time with you, that we got to say all the things, that I got to tell you how much you meant to me and how much you taught me. And now, I will hear your voice always. When I stress out, you will tell me it's not worth it. When I'm irritable with my family, you will tell me to cut it out. When I indulge my children too much, you will tell me not to cross that line. You will be with me always, my babuda. And I will keep living my life in a way that I know will make you proud. I love you.
I'm gonna keep my short and sweet. Potatoes, mayonnaise, onion relish. My grandma always made sure that my favorite salad was on the table anytime I came over. No one understood why in the world I liked that combination. It didn't matter to my grandma, always made it for me. She loved making new foods and having us try all of her dishes when we came over. It was never an option to not eat. Strength was one of the greatest characteristics of my grandma. Even during the roughest times, she always remembered. Independence was another characteristic. Grandma never wanted help. She valued all she could do on her own. Accepting any sort of help was difficult, and she always needed to know that anyone who makes her food had to make it in an exact fashion. Speaking of fashion, one of my favorite memories is one day my grandma called. She said she had misplaced her pearl earrings. She had asked me to take her to Hawthorne Mall to get new ones. So what did Grandma and I do? We went to Hawthorne Mall to get new pearl earrings. Surprisingly, it seems that she knew the suburbs better than myself that day, because when I missed an exit twice, she was worried. Said she would call my dad and ask if I needed to wear glasses when driving. I call that determination, another characteristic of my grandma. Resilience. If you know my grandma, you know that her past few years have been nothing but resilient. Doctors say one thing and the complete opposite occurs. We have been thankful for that resilience, and she held true to that trait until the very last second. About a month ago, when she was in the hospital, we were told that she does not have much time. We've been talking about my wedding, and I had told her I'd purchased a dress, and now I thought it was time to show her. Her eyes lit up, and she said, "I can't wait to see it in person." And despite her condition, was always hopeful for the future. When Blake came into the picture, she made sure that there was always food on the table that he would eat. When she learned that Blake loved sardines, the past few times we were over, she either made Blake take home some or would always say, "Next time you're here, I'll make you more." Always looked into the future. This past Friday came over and my grandpa told me that she hasn't gotten out of bed. And I said to him, "Well, let's change that." I quickly got my grandma up and she even walked to the end of the hallway. Not knowing these would be her last steps, I took a video to send to my dad showing her resilience. She tried her best and she always did her best. She pushed through and those steps were not easy to take. She wanted to do as much as she could, and that was her. She was strong, independent, determined, and resilient. Today I stand here remembering and honoring my grandma for all who she was. As we all say with anyone who departs, we always wish we could do more. But every interaction and conversation we've ever shared has left me with permanent memories of the woman she was. They say that grief never truly passes and we just continue to build our life around the new normal. And we pray that our loved ones are looking down upon us, knowing that we're doing everything to make them proud. Thank you.
Thank you. In conclusion, I'll say a final prayer, что заключительную молитву будем просить Всевышнего. We ask God to remember Maya, everything she created, everything everybody she built in her lifetime, and may we ask God that her soul should be granted the highest possible place among the most righteous. But before that, while everybody was talking, I was looking at the picture, and you have this picture in your brochures. Just want to leave you with a thought. You know, everybody knows Mona Lisa, right? The picture Mona Lisa, and there are two things that people always talk about it. One is that wherever you go, she follows you with her eyes, and the second is her smile. And I think there's something very similar. If you look at the picture, Maya follows you with your eyes, and her smile seems being directed straight to you. and each of us can interpret the smile the way they like. That's my final thought. I would ask everybody rise for a final prayer. El male rachamim, shoichem bamrovim. Hamtze menucha nechona al kanfei ashkina. B'malos gdoshim v'torim, ki zohar rakia mazhirim. Es nishmas Mayya bas Piotr shalcha l'alama. Bavur shemishpochta titen l'tzedaka bat askoras nishmasa. B'gan Eden tehye menuchasa. Lachem balarachamim, yastireha beseser knafav le'olamim. V'yitzror b'yitzror ha'chaim es nishmasa, Adonai hu nachalasa. V'sanor b'shalom al mishkala, v'nomar amen. Amen. Thank you, please take your seats.
We're going to drive to the grave site. You're welcome either to drive behind us or to walk. It is a very nice day to walk. After the interment, the family's inviting everybody back to Maestro. At this time, if anybody wishes to act as a pallbearer, please come forward.
So let's ask everybody to rise while we take out the caskets, and we'll ask 6 men, maybe